Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the GRCV Hoops Podcast. My name is Gavin, Campbell, and alongside me for this week, my good friend
Ricardo, Vargas, and happy to be back in this new year. Another episode. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. I was a little lonesome here last week. We missed you.
Man.
But we're just going to dive right into it today. Glad to have you back, Rick. And
thank you.
First topic on the agenda today for January 10th. Chicago Bulls are looking to trade forward Nikola Mirotic. The Utah Jazz and the Detroit Pistons have shown interest in him. The Jazz have mentioned maybe possibly throwing in Derek Favors in this trade. The Pistons still up in the air on what they're willing to offer and what's on the table. Rick, what are your thoughts on the Knicks trying to move the Bulls trying to move Mirotic?
Well, since that what happened between him and Portis, I understand that he wants to trade, and he's been playing really well, and the Bulls have been playing much better. I think it's not a bad idea, to trade him, because if I were them, I would try to tank. Now, because they started off bad and, they have a bright future. They have bright young players, good players. But I would just tank and just, go from there. And by trading Mirotic, you would start that,
Right. And it's like you said, it's not like they're not trying to tank this season, because we've seen Coach Hoiberg take out Mirotic in big moments in games before, and it's like, well, he was hot that night. He's one of your best players. Why is he on the bench?
Exactly.
And he obviously he's tried to cover his tracks and say like, oh well, we don't want to hear your excuses. I think that this is the right move going forward for them. I mean, they've had players like Denzel Valentine come out and say we are one of the better teams in the East, and I think they're currently 12th or 13th right now in the conference. So clearly they're not, but they think so, and you want to see that from your young players. And I think moving Mirotic and having that core of young guys moving forward really helps your team. I think you're right. You do tank this season. You want to try to get one of those top 5 picks, because this incoming draft class is stacked for next year.
Definitely. And like how I said, Chris Dunn, Markkanen, I think LaVine will come back I think he can become an all-star still. He will come back from this injury healthy and 100%. Valentine, they have these young guys. Portis still has potential. I think they're going to be good in the future. And with a top pick in next year's draft, oh my goodness.
I think that just solidifies, what they need. If they can pick up, a Porter Jr. or a Marvin Bagley, like we were talking about before the show. If the Bulls can, somehow get one of those top 3 lottery spots, definitely moving forward. This is a scary team, especially in the Eastern Conference.
Very scary.
What's really impressed me this season, I want to touch on it real quick, is Chris Dunn. I know that you were really high on this guy and talking him up before we started today. It just seems that he's really been able to come out of his shell once he's been given the opportunity. We never saw that with him in Minnesota, in the shadow of Rubio and when Jeff Teague came over. We knew that they were going to move in a different direction. So now that he's with the Bulls and had time to, just kind of adjust to him being the starter and what it's like to be a starting point guard in the NBA. I mean, we've seen him be aggressive. We know that he's already a great defender. He's really long for a point guard and as tall as he is. I mean, just really impressive. We saw him hit the game winner a few weeks ago.
He's so good. He reminds me of like a Damian Lillard.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
I think Damian, and we know Damian plays defense, but I mean on the defensive end, I don't think that you can match what he's been able to do as a rookie.
Oh, definitely. No, I'm excited for this Bulls team, and this could be, if they do it right, one of the smoothest rebuilds in recent history.
Yeah, and not only the smoothest, I think one of the quickest. That's because this is a team that was 4 or 5 years ago in the Eastern Conference semifinals, in the Eastern Conference Finals with Derrick Rose and. Remember Carlos Boozer and Taj Gibson and those guys? Joakim Noah when he was Defensive Player of the Year.
Those were good days. Oh,
Luol Deng and Kirk Heinrich. I mean, those teams were crazy. Definitely fun to watch.
They were, definitely.
But, definitely one of the better rebuilds going on. And we know a lot of teams are in the rebuilding mode right now. But we're going to move on to another Eastern Conference team that's struggling as well. The Cavs got absolutely destroyed by the Minnesota Timberwolves on Monday night. Losing 127-99. The Wolves led by as much as 41 points. Let me repeat that, 41 points. LeBron had his worst plus-minus of his entire career at minus 39. Isaiah Thomas was also ejected for a nasty clothesline on Andrew Wiggins. Rick, how worried are you about the Cavs right now?
Man, I haven't seen enough from Isaiah to say, oh, wow, okay, he's back, whatnot. But I think I'm not too worried. I think Isaiah will come back. He will be the same player that he was before this injury. And I think they will find their groove, and they will be a very scary team, and especially in the playoffs. As long as you have LeBron on your team, you can't be worried. Kevin Love, they're gonna be fine. And Isaiah Thomas, he's gonna make them an amazing team.
But how do you address the situation between him and Wiggins? I mean, do you think that's just built up frustrations throughout the game, or it was just his struggles coming back, because he's been playing decent as of
he's been decent. Definitely not like the same as like last year,
right.
But decent numbers, 17 and 19 first 2 games, I think. And yeah, I think that was just frustration because he does like to shoot a lot, and I think he was just frustrated how the game was going. And yeah, like it happens, in the heat of the moment.
Right. I mean, we did see he was sympathetic as soon as it happened. He said that he went for the ball. Obviously, we're not inside his head, so we don't know what his intentions were. But I mean, it was a brutal hit.
It was one of the nastier ones I've seen. Ron Artest type-ish.
and you know what? I think Ron Artest would approve of that clothesline.
He would have. Good thing it was on Andrew Wiggins and not on someone like Reckless, because Wiggins is a nice guy.
I'm glad it wasn't Taj Gibson or someone like that, because I don't think Taj is afraid to throw hands. But
oh no. Who was it yesterday? James Johnson. And Serge
James
Ibaka.
Johnson and Serge Ibaka. I did happen to watch that highlight.
They were throwing blows.
And Dragic and DeRozan at the end of the game almost got into the same confrontation. They're fighters. That was a heated game last night between Miami and Toronto. But getting back to this, LeBron also was held to his lowest point total, I think, in 7 or 8 years at 10 points. He scored 10 points in this game.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure what his field goal percentage was, because I wasn't watching this game at the time.
Right.
I was watching my Raptors play, but I mean, this just is so uncharacteristic, and the fact that they have the 29th ranked defense, Cleveland does, in the NBA right now. And when they gave up 127 points to Orlando, they needed 131 just to win.
That's
and
insane.
Orlando is not a playoff team. This is a bottom feeder on the Eastern Conference.
Mediocre team. That's scary to think about right now. But like I said, I'm not worried about the Cavs. They will pick it up. Once Isaiah gets going, watch out for that team. Watch out for them.
We know that LeBron is one to say that we'll quote unquote flip the switch come playoff time
easily.
But I mean, we thought that they would flip the switch last season when I think they were the 18th or 19th ranked defense, or no, 21st, the 21st ranked defense, and we saw how that worked out in the finals, getting beaten 4-1. But now that you have the 29th ranked defense in the league, I mean, you still have a top 5 offense. We know you can score, but clearly 99 points was not enough not last night, but on Monday night to get the job done. I think for me, just that the situation is worse than it was last year. I think you have to be a little concerned based on just the fact that back-to-back nights that teams were able to put up 127 points on your team. This is not a young team. This is the oldest roster in the league right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would just have a little concern for this. Obviously, I wouldn't go over the top with it when you have a top 2 talent like LeBron James in the league right now. But I would say that something needs to be done. I think you need to make a move to address the defense, and I think the best option that they have right now is to try to get DeAndre Jordan. I understand that the Brooklyn pick is that's all you have if LeBron leaves, because we know that Dan Gilbert asked him, "Are you committing?" last week, and he didn't give him a solid answer. So we don't know, but the only way that you're going to have a chance is to at least get your defense in the top 16, top 15, and I think DeAndre Jordan can do that if you can package the Brooklyn pick with Tristan Thompson and send that over there. I don't know how else they're going to be able to do this. I think they're going to struggle against the Celtics. I think they're going to struggle against the Raptors in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, they definitely won't be sweeping or the Celtics or the Raptors in the playoffs for sure this year. I do think it will be a battle, of course.
Absolutely, and I'm not discrediting this team. Obviously, they're very talented, but it's amazing to me that you traded for one of the better defenders in this league in Jay Crowder. And you can't get your defense in even the top 20.
I expected more from Jay Crowder, to be honest. I thought the Cavs got the upper hand in the trade. I think a slight, but the way Jay's been playing, and I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but it's a cause for concern for me. And I know a lot of people, including yourself, say you shouldn't panic. I think just for me and comparing the past couple seasons is just I think this causes alarm because it's worse.
That's understandable. Yeah. You do have a point.
But enough about them. We'll have to obviously keep an eye on them and talk about them next week and see if they can step it up and get this addressed. We know that LeBron was very upset in his post-game interview. And I'm sure that he will address the team as well as the coach about what they need to do.
Oh, no, for sure.
But talking about another Eastern Conference team, your Boston Celtics, Rick, Gordon Hayward's return was sparked in internet debates yesterday. Danny Ainge of the Boston Celtics, I believe he's the president of basketball operations.
Yes.
He started brewing up the Gordon Hayward rumors again after posting a picture of Hayward standing without a brace on his injured ankle yesterday. The former NBA All-Star responded by posting the eyeball emoji. So, let me ask you this question, Rick. Should Gordon Hayward come back this season?
It all depends on the seeding towards the end of the season because he's definitely not going to come back in like 2 weeks or none of that.
Right.
So, it all depends on the seeding and how Gordon's feeling, of course. Like, if he thinks he's ready, I would think he could come back towards the end. I wouldn't mind playing him a few minutes to get him in a feel for the game. And we were talking about it before the podcast. Like, you brought up a good idea. Just like play him some in the beginning of the playoffs, and then once you're deep in there, play him at his regular minutes. And I think that's a good idea. And I think Gordon Hayward, being the talent that he is, he will be able to come back and be his normal self. And yeah, I think he should come back at least to play a few minutes at most.
And like I know you would be very excited if he did make his return this season, as well as many other Boston fans. I know that I would not want to see him in the playoffs, but being a Raptors fan. But honestly, he is one of my favorite players. And when he did commit to the Celtics, I was really interested to see how that roster would play out. If you go back and listen to our podcast, from a few months ago, you can tell that we were really high on him going into the season, and then that devastating. Gruesome injury that he had in the first game against the Cavs. For me, I would love to see him come back this season, unless the Celtics, they just go on a run. They end up winning, 60-plus games, 60, 65 games, if they can. We don't know what's possible. I mean,
right.
Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just seem to be getting better and better every week. So who knows what their ceilings are right now.
Especially Tatum.
Absolutely. Having the best three-point percentage in the league right now from a rookie, that is absolutely insane.
It is.
The fact that he's been able to keep it up for this long is just even crazier to think about. But there still is a few months left in the season. We know that his injury timetable as of yesterday was 12 weeks. If we pan that out, that comes up to about the last week of March. If he was able to come back, if he was medically cleared to play full-on contact basketball, I do think that you do bring him back slowly, very slowly. Yes. Kind of like the Paul George situation, except he came back a little earlier. Still very similar injuries in terms of just being disgusting. Frankly, I mean it sucks. It sucks when that happens to a great player, any player for that matter. But Paul George breaking his leg and then coming back in March. Obviously, he had a few more months of recovery time, because it happened in the summer with Team USA instead of opening night. But bring him back, play him between, I would say, like they kind of did Isaiah Thomas, between 8 and 12 minutes. Obviously, they didn't stick to that. He played 19, but I would say play him between 8 and 12 minutes, rest him for the next day, bring him back again, 8 to 12 minutes, and then just build up to about the 20-minute mark. And then come playoff time, I think as long as he doesn't affect chemistry and he fits in well with the system and he gets acclimated to playing basketball again, the Celtics should be fine. And I think that they can make a deep run in the playoffs.
Oh, no, I'm glad to hear that from you. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't know how, because of course I want Jason Tatum to start because he's amazing. And Jaylen Brown, he plays, he's really good too, but he's not as consistent.
Right.
I don't know, like would Jaylen want to go back to the bench, go to the bench and let Hayward start, or I don't know how that will work, but it'd be interesting to see.
I think if you're Jaylen Brown, I think you look at the situation as wow, if we have the opportunity to get our all-star forward back,
yeah,
then we go ahead and do it by any means necessary. I think if I'm Jaylen Brown, the Celtics already have the worst scoring bench in the entire NBA.
Definitely.
So if he goes to it, I think he could definitely up the scoring.
I would love that. I would love, and like Jaylen Brown, he's not like he doesn't have a big ego.
Right.
Like, I could see him going to the bench and like shoot 6th man of the year. Why not?
I think he fits the Boston narrative very well, and I think that I don't. Let me rephrase that. I don't think that he would have a problem with Coach Stevens if he asked that of him.
Yeah.
To say, hey, Jaylen, this would be the best situation for our team.
Yeah. Because he is a team guy.
Exactly,
he does look like a team guy.
I don't think they would have any problem doing that, and it would really. I really think it would help them out in the long run, and especially come playoff time. When you only go about 3 guys deep on the bench, if Jaylen Brown is one of those guys, I think that already gives you an edge.
No, definitely. And also, like, I do not want Jason Tatum to go to the bench.
Absolutely not. Not with the way he's been playing. I just
consistent.
That's what I like,
his
blasphemy.
consistency.
It would be blasphemy to do that. You can't. You really can't. And I think you could start him really at the 3 or the 4. I mean, he does well either way. So I mean, if you wanted to put him at the 4 and have Hayward come back at the 3, obviously after a few games that he's been able to get used to playing basketball again. I mean, we've seen it with Isaiah Thomas. I mean, it's already been a couple weeks. He's starting to get into the groove, but he's not quite there yet. I think if you give Hayward 3 or 4 weeks, come the second round of the playoffs when the Celtics are there, he could be 90, 95%. And when you have a 90 to 95% Gordon Hayward in your lineup, that's already scary.
That's deadly. No, yeah, for sure. Like, and Brad Stevens will figure it out. One of the best coaches in the league, and I'm just excited to see how they're going to play with him.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that as well as everybody else, because that is one of the most interesting stories that's been going on throughout the NBA. But moving on to a completely different injury, completely different conference, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Houston Rockets and James Harden. He's been out, I think, a little over a week now with his grade 2 hamstring injury, which is a minor tear of the hamstring. He's still a few games away from returning to the court, but the Rockets have been without their MVP for their past 4 games, and they're 2-2 in that stretch. Rick, should the Houston Rockets be worried without their MVP candidate?
I wouldn't think so, because he is going to come back, and he'll come back the same James Harden that he was. And yeah, it sucks that they've lost a few games, and Chris Paul, he's doing everything he can to win, but I don't think I would be worried. James Harden's going to come back. He's going to play at the MVP level he was playing, and I think they will get back to the groove. I don't think they'll be as good as like when they were on that streak a few weeks ago. They were just on fire.
Absolutely. I think it was 11 or 12 games in a row that they won.
It was crazy. But I do think they'll still be one of the top teams in the West, and definitely in the playoffs.
I know that they're still, I think, 2 or 3 games ahead of San Antonio right now. If they were to go 2-2 over their next 4 games before Harden comes back, then that would narrow the gap to either 1 or half a game. Should they be rushed to bring him back next week, or
no.
if he's still hurt, do you just say, okay, we'll reevaluate in 7 days?
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't rush at all. They just got to let him recover. He is their MVP of that team. Shoot, I just let him recover, take his time, and let him come back when he's ready.
So if he is off another 2 weeks, that would be 3 weeks total that he's missed, probably 12 to 14 games total. If that happens, does that hurt his MVP chances?
I don't think so, because he's going to come back and go crazy like he was, and there'll still be a lot of season left to show that he is, in my eyes, the MVP.
Over LeBron, as of this point in time.
Okay, no. LeBron's the MVP right now, but he's close second.
See, I think it's a toss-up for me, because obviously I don't think they should rush him back. But if Harden does end up missing 12 to 14 games and LeBron ends up playing 75, I think longevity has to be a factor in the discussion of, like, okay, well, who are we going to give it to? Especially if Houston ends up dropping to, the 3 seed, maybe even the 4 seed with as hot as Minnesota's been as of late. And their defense has really stepped up, too. I think Tibbs have finally gotten a fire under Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns. But getting back to Houston, I think if they do start slipping in the standings and, LeBron, he finally gets his team figured out and like how to play defense again, like they were on that 15 or 16 game winning streak that they went on, I think that you have to give it to LeBron, because he could come up to the 2 seed, and if Houston's down to the 3 or the 4 seed, we know that usually plays a factor in who we give it to. It's like, where did your team finish in the standings? Right. So I think it's an interesting conversation. I mean, we talk about it every other week here.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you do bring up a valid point, and I do think LeBron deserves at least one more MVP before he's done playing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he's been snubbed a couple times.
Oh, multiple times, and it's
maybe
a shame
more than
to
that.
see. Yeah, it's a shame to see. Like, he's been playing so good for so many years now. At his age, playing the way he's playing, like, give that man the MVP.
I think that's got to be another factor. I mean, he's 33 years old and he's putting up these kind of numbers.
It's insane. It's insane to think about.
Not only is he 33 years old, I mean, this is his 15th season in the league. I mean, that is
and one of his best.
Unbelievable. Yes, if not his best,
if not his best,
if these numbers stick. It's going to be crazy to compare those numbers at the end of the season when it's all said and done. But we hope James Harden has a speedy recovery, and he needs to get back to Houston as soon as he can. Good luck to Chris Paul and the rest of those guys. And Gerald Green for getting signed for the rest of the season. That man deserves it.
Oh, my goodness. He was playing out of control. I'm happy for him. You know, being from Houston, I'm glad to see him in that uniform.
Everyone loves to play for their hometown team.
Oh,
and
who wouldn't? You know,
if you haven't seen, there's a very short documentary on YouTube about Gerald Green and his journey throughout the NBA. If you haven't seen it, I highly suggest trying to find it. Apologize, I don't remember the name of it, but if you can find it on there, it's definitely very interesting.
I gotta check it out.
Yes, absolutely. A quick insight to it: when the Rockets called him to come be a part of their team, he was actually playing basketball in the driveway of his house with his dog.
Oh my!
So
what a guy!
a crazy turn of events for Gerald Green. Definitely one of the most exciting players.
Oh yeah, and it's been like that for a while, and he's had a tough journey to the NBA.
Absolutely,
it hasn't been easy.
But moving on to the next topic, the Miami Heat are hot as of late. Did you like that?
I did.
They are 8-2 out of their last 10 games they've played, including their current 5-game win streak that they're on. They have quality wins over the Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors. They've moved up to the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, Rick. Should this come as a surprise to anyone?
Not really, because they do have a lot of good pieces. And, shoot, I remember when they ended the Boston Celtics streak, I was a little mad at them. But, no, they do have great players, Hassan Whiteside, Dragic. Josh Richardson's finally coming into his own, playing very well as of late. I think, they're one of the better teams in the East. I don't think, they're finals type of team, but they are one of the better teams in the East, and I'm definitely not surprised.
To me, the Heat always seem like one of those teams that makes the playoffs, and then they always find a way to sneak in.
Yeah.
Like, and they always give teams a tough go,
a battle. Yeah.
Whether it's anyone really. I mean, we saw it when they beat Charlotte in 7 games a couple years ago, and then they went 7 games with the Raptors. I mean, that was insane, and I think this was coming from a 6 seed. Did they have, I believe, or a 7 seed?
It was something like that.
Something like that.
And credit to Eric Spoelstra. Underrated coach.
Definitely underrated coach. Ever since LeBron James has left and Chris Bosh's injury, and man, I wish he was still playing basketball. One of my favorite players.
Oh my god,
I have a lot of favorite players.
No, for sure.
But definitely an underrated coach. I mean, we saw it. I believe it was it 2 years ago when the Miami Heat barely missed the playoffs. The Bulls had the tiebreaker on them at 41-41, and they finished out the season with like 31 wins on the second half of the season or something like that. They started off like what was it, 13 and something.
Yeah, no, I remember.
31 wins after the All-Star break or something like that. It was an insane run that they went on just to make the playoffs. But this, like I said, this is a team that never ceases to amaze me because we write them off. I mean, I think I had them making the playoffs as the 7 or 8 seed this year, but they're all the way up to the 4. But the East has been jumping around.
Over
the past few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had the Bucks at the 4 spot. We've had the Sixers at the 4 spot. We've had everyone at the 4 spot. It's just been moving around.
The Magic, I remember the Magic were hot.
And the Magic were up there to start the season. I think they were 6-2 at one point. And that fell off quick. But getting back to the Miami Heat, like you said, they do have a lot of pieces. Not one superstar. I mean, Hassan Whiteside could be considered an all-star this year. Depending on how the captains pick their players or however that works. I'm still not sure how the All-Star game is going to work.
I want to see that. I am very interested in that.
Very, very intrigued for the All-Star game this week. Not this week, this year. There we go.
Soon, though.
But yeah, I think the Heat are if they keep playing the way that they're playing, and if Dion Waiters can pick up his game, because we know that he can get really hot and then really cold, then they'll be just fine. You said Josh Richardson has been playing out of his mind as of late. They need that. This is what the Miami Heat have been waiting for. I still need to see more from Justice Winslow. He's kind of been really a disappointment.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be much better. Like, I remember when he came to the league, I thought he was going to be really good, but...
And that was a guy that Miami said, like, we hope that he falls to us in the draft.
Yeah.
And they got their man. It just has not lived up to expectations.
No, definitely.
But like I said, this is a team that can really cause a lot of other teams problems when they get in the playoffs, no matter where they're at. They're an okay road team, especially in the playoffs. They're really decent, but they're going to be without Dwayne Wade this year, as they were last year, which would have been interesting to see them make the playoffs without Dwayne Wade and how they would have handled that situation. I think we're going to see that happen this year.
You think so?
Yes.
That would be cool to see.
Anything else to add? I mean, I'm not surprised whatsoever. I always write them off, and they seem to prove me wrong every year.
No, not really. Yeah, they're just a solid professional basketball team. Like, they're good. They're good.
I mean, not good. They're not great and they're not bad. I mean, they're just a good team with a really underrated coach.
Yeah, from video coordinator to coach.
Crazy story.
That's
absolutely crazy story.
Man, never give up. You know?
Exactly. That's hard work. Hard work pays off.
Yeah,
hard work pays off. Follow your dreams, kids. But moving on. Actually, forgot to talk about this when we were talking about the Bulls. Zach LaVine is set to make his return Saturday against the Detroit Pistons. He's expected to play 20 minutes, and what should we expect from him in his return, coming off an ACL injury?
I expect him to have a decent little game, like 12, 13 points, something like that, a couple of assists, a couple of rebounds. But I think in a few weeks, I could see him being a 20 points per game type of scorer on this Bulls team.
I think it's really possible, especially when you have Chris Dunn playing like he's playing. If he can turn into a facilitator of the basketball, the Bulls are going to be scary.
Oh my goodness, Dunn and LaVine, that's a scary backcourt.
Especially when you have players that do think that they are one of the better teams in their conference, even though their record doesn't show it. Denzel Valentine has been very vocal about saying we are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, the record doesn't show it like it is right now. But if you have this kind of confidence after this year is over with and through the summer coming into the next season, I mean that just spells great things for your franchise, especially with Zach LaVine coming back. But what we're expecting from him, or at least what I'm expecting, is similar to you. Score somewhere between 10 and 15 points, get a couple of assists. I would expect, a few rebounds in there. I'm really hoping that we can get at least one windmill dunk out of him in his return. He's at the United Center. He's at home.
That'd be nice.
I would love to see it from him. Get that crowd going.
Oh my goodness, that would get him going like crazy. No, that would be nice to see. He loves dunking, and it'd be nice. It'd just be nice.
I really hope that the team embraces his comeback and can kind of feed off of that energy and get him going, because I think that's what they want to see, because he is their star player right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like they went through so much with Derrick Rose, and like I wouldn't want them to see them go through something like this with Zach LaVine.
And obviously he's not Derrick Rose, but I mean you could kind of see him sort of filling that void now with his athleticism. Hopefully it hasn't changed.
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean we've seen
bread and butter.
We've seen him in practice tapes on YouTube from the Bulls camp, and him being able to dunk. But the game is a whole different situation. But hopefully he will be able to get back to his former self and then improve upon that.
No, I agree 100%. And yeah, he's one of the best dunkers in history.
Absolutely, already, and being so young. You know, he definitely has a high ceiling, and definitely hope he performs well on Saturday. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
For sure.
With the NBA trade deadline coming up, because we know the All-Star game's coming up soon. The NBA trade deadline is less than a month away. Rick, give me one team that you think needs to make a move before the deadline.
Let me think.
Whether it be acquiring another player, getting rid of a contract, what needs to happen for one team?
Okay, I'll give you two themes. One that we talked about earlier, and you had mentioned it, the Cavaliers.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them making a trade and getting somebody that will make them better. DeAndre Jordan, of course, and the Lakers. Jordan Clarkson, he requested a trade.
Right. I
could see them making a move. Maybe it's with Clarkson or with somebody else, because they need to change that up.
Do you think? Because I was unaware that Clarkson had requested a trade. I must have missed it or something.
I saw that last night.
I think I missed it. But you had told me that, and it didn't really surprise me all that much. I mean, it's definitely intriguing. But if he did request a trade, what's a team that you think he could go to that needs a starting shooting guard, or needs a six man that's going to get more time with the ball, or just a great role player?
Should throw that man to the Pelicans.
Who would they? Who do you think? Who do you think that's actually an intriguing.
Shoot, why not?
That's really intriguing because I think the Pels could really use him. I mean, they've already said that DeMarcus Cousins is untouchable. Someone in their front office came out and said it's like we plan on re-signing him in the offseason, and that's up to DeMarcus if he wants to do that or not. But if they do end up making the playoffs, I would expect DeMarcus to probably re-sign there with the Brow. If they were to acquire Clarkson, what could they give up in return that the Lakers would want? I mean, it's just interesting
Anthony
to think
Davis.
about.
No, I'm joking. Shoot.
I mean, having a great six-man like that, I mean, they know that they already have Rondo. They have Etuan Moore, who's okay. But like, who do you give up in order to make that deal happen?
No, that's a tough one. I didn't think about that. Or like maybe they could trade him to, I don't know, because I'm not a big fan of Andre Roberson, to be honest.
Right. Oh
Straight
my gosh,
up.
yeah, the Thunder. That would actually be
straight up Clarkson for Roberson.
That actually would. Well, I'm not sure about his contract.
Yeah,
do
the
you
contract.
Do you think if Roberson has an expiring contract, or if it's up in a couple years, I don't think that would be a bad trade at all.
I don't think so.
Especially when a player wants out, I think that puts more pressure on the organization to actually make a deal happen.
Yeah.
And they have less than 4 weeks to do so.
Exactly, and I could see him fitting into that Thunder team perfectly. I think he's just a scorer, and he's a starter. I think he's starter level. He's a starter level type of guy, and that'd be nice to see.
It would definitely be interesting to have, maybe mix it up and do Westbrook, Clarkson, George, Anthony, and then Adams. I think that would be
perfect. That would be perfect.
A crazy lineup there. Or if you did want to bring him off the bench because you don't have Roberson anymore, so now you can maybe do Westbrook, George, and then oh my gosh, I can't remember Ferguson.
Yes.
He came out of nowhere.
I
mean, really out of nowhere. That's nuts.
League.
And when the Thunder came to Los Angeles and played the Lakers, and he was just dunking all over the team.
It was insane.
Get that man in the dunk contest, please.
Crazy dunks.
I mean, I will campaign for that man to get in the dunk contest. Please send him an invite.
Yes, no, for sure.
I mean, I think that could definitely be interesting because if you tell Clarkson, hey, you can run this second unit for, I think the Thunder are the 6th seed or the 5 seed they're the 6th seed in the West right now. If you tell him like, hey, run the second unit. I mean, he's got shooters, he's got Raymond Felton.
Yeah.
As much as people like to make fun of Raymond Felton, I mean, he's a decent player.
I like
he's probably needs to lose a little bit of weight, but I mean, he's a good player. He's a solid point guard, I think, especially as a backup. But I mean, if you want to have him out there with Clarkson and Patterson,
cool.
I mean, that's a solid second unit. I mean,
easily one of the better units in the league.
Absolutely.
With Clarkson.
I definitely slept on, especially his contract. He has a solid contract for who he is. He's one of the better role players.
But I would definitely do that because I want him to. I want to see his full potential because we haven't seen that with the Lakers. I thought he was gonna have a bigger role this year with the Lakers, play better, but
right. I think that Lakers organization has just been really screwed up with the whole LeVar Ball situation and
it's
the Luke Walton situation. I would love it if Magic Johnson just told him to shut the hell up.
That'd be great.
I really would. It was like, you really need to just stop talking. Stop running your mouth. Just, I know that they had a meeting with him a few weeks ago, but they need to tell him to just shut up.
Honestly, because it's just I'm just sick of it. And, like, they have players, Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, Randall.
I mean, they could get it to work if there just wasn't – I just feel like there's this haze that's hanging over the organization and holding them back. And I think that the majority of that problem is LeVar.
I think so, too. Like, get rid of him and shoot. They can just focus on basketball.
That would be nice to see. I mean, we know that the Lakers, when Lonzo Ball was out with his injury, they struggled. I mean, they didn't win a single game. So, I mean, that sunk them to 14th in the Western Conference. But since he's been back, they've won 2 games in a row. So we know that just because Lonzo doesn't put up, the glamour stats or the points, as much as I've criticized his shooting, he's a decent player.
He's a decent player.
He leads their team in rebounds and assists.
That's crazy as a rookie.
Exactly. I mean, yes, he's only not even averaging 8 points a game, or he might be up to 8 points a game now. But as a rookie, leading your team in rebounds and assists, you have to give him credit, and I'm going to give him credit where credit's due. But I would really like him to be more aggressive, because when you're more aggressive, you draw the defense onto you. You get their attention, and then that's when it opens up the floor for other people like Clarkson and Kuzma, Caldwell Pope, Randall, everybody on the team.
All those guys.
That's someone else who I've been disappointed with this year is Caldwell Pope. I thought him coming over from Detroit, he would really be more of an impact player for that team.
Yeah, I really didn't expect him to be in jail.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened in that whole situation. I vaguely have an understanding of what went on.
Like, I think it was like a DUI and like a month in jail. I don't know how long he's been there, but that's just crazy.
I think some of his friends and old teammates from the Pistons need to give him a call and ask him what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, but to be honest, I'm more disappointed in Ingram. Like, he's had some big games, no lie, but he needs to be more consistent. He was supposed to be, shoot.
I agree. We thought that he was going to take a bigger step forward this year, but maybe it's just part of, maybe he's just
part of that that haze, maybe, like.
Right, and it could also have to do with, just he's a slower developing player,
Yeah, maybe
next year or the year after that is his real breakout season, to become, the next Kevin Durant or whatever the Lakers wanted him to be.
I could see him being an all-star in the future.
I mean, absolutely. And speaking of an ex-Laker and all-stars, man, I really wish that D'Angelo Russell would have come back already. I mean, I know Brooklyn doesn't want to rush him back, but I was really banking on him being an all-star this year. He was averaging over 21 points a game.
He's one of my favorite players, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of their biggest mistakes. I understand you wanted to move the Mozgov contract, but giving up D'Angelo Russell, I just thought for that team. And maybe the whole Nick Young situation had something to do with it, right?
Maybe, yeah, for sure.
But I can't see getting rid of that kind of talent. I mean, second-year player averaging...
For nothing.
Exactly. I mean, averaging over 21 points a game.
That's crazy.
I don't want to say for nothing because Brook Lopez is a decent center. I mean, obviously, I would like him to rebound more, but I'm not going to get that out of him. It's just really disappointing because, I mean, D'Angelo... He looked like a Laker. When he was wearing the purple and gold, he looked like he belonged there. He really did. And we know that the Lakers were going to move on from Nick Young. I mean, it's Swaggy P. Come on. He's a role player, and he's a journeyman. But he's actually fitting into that Warriors system pretty well. And the Warriors are playing well as of late. I mean, my gosh, how impressive has Steph Curry been since he's come back?
That's
45 points in 29 minutes the other night.
That's insane. That's
just nuts.
I don't even want to talk about that.
That's absolutely nuts. I mean, it's not fair.
It's not. It's really not.
I just honestly, and you know what? I am all for trying to trying to build the best team that you can and trying to get as many players on your team, as many superstars as you can, and make your team the best that it could possibly be. But damn it, I want someone to beat them.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair.
I swear, parity in the NBA it's dead. It's dead now, unless it's in the Eastern Conference. But that's only because the Cavs are getting older. The Warriors are going to be around for the next 3 or 4 years before they even start declining. I mean, who's to say that they won't win 4 or 5 rings?
They could.
I mean,
they're still relatively young.
It's just man, I hate to be down on them too because I mean you can't hate on greatness. You really can't. But what I can do as a fan is say that I want some parity. I want some parity in the NBA. I don't want to know who's going to win the title every single year. I mean, it's like it was like the NFL with the New England Patriots. It's like, oh, they're going to go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they'll be in the Super Bowl. And I swear they're in the AFC Championship game every year. And it's like I don't want that to happen with the NBA. I mean, and it's like, oh, well, it happens with LeBron James. It's like, yes, but he did it with the Heat, and then he did it with the Cavs. So it's a little different. Oh, it's not different. Yes, it is. It's 2 different franchises, okay?
It is.
And if LeBron goes to the finals this year again, he'll be the only player in NBA history to take a team, 2 different teams to the finals 4 times apiece.
That's crazy to think about.
4 times with Miami. Well, he actually already has done it with Cleveland, but if he does it again, he'll break the record for most with 2 different teams, which would be 5 times with the Cavs. Which really they shouldn't even have been there in San Antonio when they played them in I think it was 2007. That was nuts. A 22-year-old LeBron James backpacking a bunch of scrubs to the finals. He put him on his back. I mean, and he had the mountain backpack, dude. He was loading him up. I'm talking about Boobie Gibson.
Stop.
Boobie Gibson, Eric Snow, Drew Gooden, Anderson Varejao.
Stop.
The only other competent player on that roster was I can't even say his name. Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Oh my gosh.
I think is how you pronounce that.
Ilgauskas.
Big Z.
That's 22 years old.
22-year-old LeBron James.
Finals against the Spurs.
And they wiped the floor with him. He shouldn't even be there. I think that one. If you're really going to critique LeBron James, you have to remove that from his resume.
Honestly,
he shouldn't have been. If anything, you mark that as an accomplishment. 22 years old.
That's insane to think about.
I don't know. And people. Oh, you're just on the LeBron James bandwagon. No, I'm recognizing greatness when I see it.
No, yeah, it's
because let me tell you this. When he went to the Miami Heat, I didn't like him. I didn't like him one bit. For the whole 4 years he was there. When he got the repeat in 2013, he was probably the most hated man. If you're not a Miami Heat fan, you hated LeBron James.
Oh shoot.
And that's why Kevin Durant when he did what he did last summer, or the summer before that, that's why he's the most hated player in the NBA right now.
What Durant did was worse because he already went to the best team. LeBron.
That's what made it worse.
LeBron took he went in as well Chris Bosh, but they formed a great team.
They formed the team exactly. Thank you, Rick, because the Warriors already had a great team. They had a team that held the record for the most wins in the regular season.
How do you do that?
And Durant said, "You know what? Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not the second best player in the world. I'm just going to go join the greatest regular season team of all time."
Yeah, that's
See, to me, there's a reason they call him a cupcake. Okay, you can't do that. You can't. You are the second most talented player, if not the first. There are some people that think Kevin Durant is already better than LeBron James because of the finals. And if that's the case, why did you go there?
No.
Why'd you do that?
No, he'll never be better than LeBron. Durant, he's a scorer, one of the best scorer of all time, but he's definitely not better than LeBron.
I'm just saying, if you wanted to make the argument,
you could.
People do it, and that's what gets me so aggravated. It's like he could have done that anywhere else, and people are like, "Oh, well, you would have said something if he went to a different team." No, he could have gone to any other team. I wouldn't even have cared if he didn't re-sign with OKC. Just not there.
He could have still won the championship with Boston.
He could have gone to the Celtics.
And they would have won the championship.
He could have gone to the Wizards. I mean, John Wall, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Otto Porter, Marcin Gortat.
That would have been a deadly team.
They would have at very least been contenders. I'm talking about Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron. How awesome of a series would that have been?
Oh my goodness!
The Washington Wizards with John Wall, KD, and Bradley Beal versus LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. That would have been nuts.
That would have been insane.
One of the most entertaining finals ever.
Much better than the finals. The Magic finals.
And that's pretty much how the West is right now. That's the real finals. I mean, especially if LeBron.
Rockets and Warriors.
Exactly. Either Rockets and Warriors, Spurs and Warriors, maybe whoever's going to be there. Rockets and Spurs. We don't know.
Shoot, Pelicans if they play the Warriors.
That's going to be a great. If the Pelicans make the 8 seed, that's going to be one of the best, if not the best, first round series of all time.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see how. Because they've already had 2 really close games with the Warriors this season, and they've lost by, I think the one game was 8, the other game was 5 or 6, and I mean it's incredible because you can see how the Warriors struggle with the 2 best big men in basketball because they really don't have an answer for them on the inside.
Right, for sure.
I mean, Pachulia can try, but Jordan Bell does his best, and obviously Draymond Green can only guard one of them. He can't guard Boogie and the Brow at the same time. So someone please make that the name of a band, Boogie and the Brow. That just sounds great. Gosh, man, I don't know. I get so worked up about, and people they wonder why I don't like to talk about the Warriors on this show. It's hard for me to do that.
No, I hear you. Like a lot of people, I don't like them. Shoot,
because I understand and I recognize greatness. Draymond Green's a defensive player of the year, okay, but he's a dirty player. I don't like him. Okay, he likes to, especially Steven Adams. I mean, we've seen it happen twice. Yeah. He likes to kick him in the nuts. That's not okay. Okay, he's been fined multiple times for I don't even know what has he been fined at least a dozen times.
Yeah.
At least a dozen times for either criticizing officials or talking smack to another player. And it's just, I understand that you're passionate about the game and you want to bring that, every single night and just, be fired up, get your teammates into it. But there's other ways to do it than that. You don't have to go about that. And then I think Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, they're just arrogant. I understand that Steph Curry is arguably the greatest 3-point shooter of all time.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I don't know about Klay Thompson though, because he seems like a mellow guy.
He seems like a mellow guy, but I have seen, when he does have a great game, and believe me, I understand you have every right to be like, yeah, I went off, I'm great. But there's a certain level of humility that you need to have.
Yeah.
And we've seen that with LeBron James. We've
Yeah.
seen it with Kevin Durant, not as of late, but we've seen it with KD. Russ has done it, and Russ is an animal. I mean, he won the MVP averaging a triple-double.
One of the most humble players.
Absolutely. And I don't think anyone pours his heart more into this game than Russ.
I mean, I agree.
He's an incredible, not just talent, he's an incredible player. But I have probably rambled on for too long.
No, but it's been fun. It's been good. It's been funny.
It's
funny.
I try to keep it light, but sometimes I get a little carried away.
Shoot.
Anything else you want to add, Rick?
No, man, I just agree with everything you said. The Warriors, all that. I just want somebody new at the top. That's it.
If it's Warriors Cavs take 4, you might not hear me on the podcast next year. Let me just say that.
Give me Rockets and Celtics in the finals.
Hey, that would be 80s nice. All over again. That would be nice to see. Bringing back Bird crazy. And Olajuwon.
Oof, that'd be crazy.
That was really fun to. If you've never gone back and watched like 80s or 90s finals,
you have to.
That's when basketball was at its best. You got to go check it out. But that's going to wrap it up for us today. If you like what you heard, please, not subscribe, but go ahead and tune in next week and leave a comment. Give us your opinions on our social media sites.
Yeah, just tweet at us, contact us through Facebook. Just give us feedback. Listen, please. We do this. We enjoy doing this.
Oh, we absolutely love doing it.
It's fun.
We're a little passionate too. But yeah, no, please go ahead and follow us on iTunes and catch our other episodes at GRCV Hoops. Just go ahead and put that in the search bar and listen to any episodes you want. They are titled. So, go ahead and listen to whichever ones you feel that you'd like to listen to. And we really appreciate you guys listening.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Thanks a lot for everything. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll see you next time.